We love spending this time with you. Thank you for listening. If you would like to take your listening experience to the next level, did you know there's a way to do that, J-Bo?
I do.
Yep, you know how you do it. You go to thetjshow.com, you sign up for the TJ Show newsletter, and you get cool things dropped right into your inbox, like the TJ Show's 10 shares. We pick 10 different things, everyone on the team does it, that we think you're going to love. It's not just about our show. This is about like stuff, music we're listening to, whatever it may be.
Like life stuff.
That's just the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole lot more in there. Sign up at thetjshow.com. This is the TJ Show, and I'm just going to warn you before I read this story to you. You're going to say "aw" a lot throughout it, and it's gonna annoy you, I think, by the end of it. But let me just get into this. So Elaine and Roland, two people went to school together in the 1950s. Same high school, Allentown, Pennsylvania. She was a cheerleader, and he was the star athlete on the baseball team. Elaine recalls, in her words, that Roland was handsome, very popular, that she felt a chemistry with him, but they never dated. Roland said, when I saw her in the 9th grade, I thought she was very beautiful and exciting. I thought she was, well, I guess in today's words, quite hot. I love when old people talk. Yeah, she was quite hot.
Yeah, real looker.
Roland went to college, played professional baseball, had an injury. It ended his athletic career. He wound up getting married to another woman, and unfortunately, she passed away. In 2003, Elaine and Roland, following along, they met up at their 50th high school reunion in that same town, Pennsylvania. They recognized each other right away. They felt their familiar chemistry come back and exchanged email addresses. At the end of the night, he spontaneously kissed her. That's a
Roland, you dog,
bold move.
I'm gonna give you a little kiss.
Soon they were talking on the phone for hours, emailing every day. Over the coming months, the conversations became romantic. Look at this. She visits him in Florida. By Christmas of 2004, Elaine moves in with Roland.
Let me tell you, there's something in that Florida sun. You know what I'm saying? I'll do something to you.
So then they get into a 20-year relationship, never discussed marriage, just kind of hanging out with each other. What a sweet story, right?
Yeah.
Think about your first crush, by the way, because I have thoughts on that. And unfortunately, some very embarrassing stories to share. But Elaine turned to Roland after about 20 years and says, do you think we should get married? And he said, yeah, I think we should. So fairly recently, they exchanged vows at their gated community where they live. And Roland says he felt the same way when he saw Elaine walking down the aisle in her white wedding dress and veil. He goes, all this time later, I thought she was just as beautiful, just as exciting. And she said she thought she had her whole life figured out, was going to retire to the beach, be with her friends and her family. But when they met, it was just pure, simple chemistry. They couldn't ignore it. So do you guys think of like who that first crush was in your life? Does someone come to mind automatically?
I mean, I had so many, you know what I'm saying?
But who was like that first one that was a standout?
The one that stands out to me was Ricardo. I was in high school. And he was in choir, I was in choir, and all the girls loved him because he knew how to sing. He was from Trinidad and Tobago, so he had a nice Caribbean accent, and we became really, really close. We were always talking on the phone for hours, and his dad absolutely loved me, and he loved my friend, my best friend. So, and you know what? I look back now, and I'm like, that's okay, because Ricardo at the time was chasing a dream of becoming like a singer, and he's still chasing that dream, which is great. Chase the dream, but I need stability and good health insurance. So I'm happy with where I'm at with my husband Archie.
And it worked out great.
It did work out great.
You wouldn't want to be with anyone other than your husband
That's
Archie.
right.
So, Kenny, you have a story.
Well, I'm glad you're asking about first crushes and not most recent ones. My ex has blocked me from all social media.
Your most recent ex?
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Yeah,
Wait,
why?
Wow.
Why?
It was not pretty.
That sounds rough.
Honestly,
You got blocked?
it's for the best. Yeah.
I don't mean to laugh. What could you have done to get blocked?
I don't know. I mean, I should have blocked her.
Why didn't you?
I did at first, and then I opened it up back up.
And then she blocked you?
Yeah, and then she blocked me. We were in a block battle
pettiness
going
in
back
that.
and forth.
But now she's got the final block.
Yeah, she's got the final.
And you know what's great is Kenny had to unblock her to get her to block him.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. All right, so tell me about the first crush.
The first crush was Amber Smith. When I first moved into the town where I grew up, she was right across the street, my neighbor. I thought we were going to be Corey and Topanga from Boy Meets World.
How old are you guys?
4 or 5 years old.
Okay, this is cute.
I told her parents that I'm going to marry her. I think I asked for her hand in marriage at the age of 5.
Oh, that's so sweet. What happened?
Well, she moved across town. I wonder if her parents were like, we got to get away from this kid
Yeah, I would
across
think
the street.
you figured that one out. Yeah.
And we stopped hanging
That's
out.
the first block.
Yeah. As soon as
Yeah.
Kenny came over, we need to move immediately.
The parent block.
Yes, exactly.
It's a pattern. And she eventually moved out of state. And
Wow.
I would love to have a microphone in the bedroom of the parents. I know we've moved across town, but we really need to switch
Yeah, it's
states.
not good enough.
This kid Kenny is very alarming.
according to Facebook, she's doing very well, married with kids, as are all of my exes. They've all done very well since
I would
breaking up
love
with
to
me.
hear the parents' conversation now. It's a good thing we moved because look at how well she's doing now that we did.
That kid across the street's dressing up as a chicken costume on Instagram. You dodged a bullet there, Amber.
I know, that's amazing. Oh, well, Kenny, do you still miss her? Do you think of her?
No, I have my Allison. I'm happy as can be.
When was the last time you looked her up, for real? Be honest.
Maybe a couple years ago.
Couple years ago?
Yeah.
You mean months or years?
I mean,
Months?
Years.
to be honest, we were talking about this yesterday. I haven't thought about her in a while. So yeah, probably
good.
a couple years ago.
So you're happy with your current situation?
Very happy.
Good answer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Smart man.
Is she still looking the way you remember?
Yeah, very attractive, by the way.
But that's from a couple years ago, so a couple years ago, not recently.
Couple years ago, for the record. No, that's good. Thank you for sharing that, Kenny.
Happy to.
Also, always fun to learn more. I didn't know that about Kenny, that he was blocked and people were moving away from him.
Parent block and
Heather, did you have a first
social
crush?
block.
Did you have feelings in high school? She very rarely has them.
As a child, I did. My first crush was Brendan Costa. He was also my first slow dance. We slow danced to You'll Always Be My Baby by Mariah Carey.
Good song.
According to Instagram, it looks like him and his wife are Disney adults, so I dodged a bullet there.
Oh, yeah, you did. Yeah. A very expensive bullet.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm sorry to hear for your loss. That actually sounds like kind of fun to be married to a Disney character. So I do have a story, and at one point I did profess my love to my first crush after more than a decade. And I'm 19 years old, and I'm driving her home from what I thought was a date, but it wasn't quite a date.
Oh.
And I professed my love to her, and my wife Jess and I got on the phone with her to hear it from her point of view. What happened in the car in her parents' driveway where I was dropping her off on that infamous night.
What happened?
Okay, so I remember
This is Steph, by the way.
TJ had a holiday party in the city for work, and he invited me to go along. And we were friends, we were buddies, we had the same group of friends.
Yeah, that's what every guy wants to hear.
And I thought it was really cool. So I went with him and we had a nice time. And then he dropped me off and to me, this wasn't like a date or anything. It was just, I'm going along with my buddy.
Yeah, news to me, by the way.
Buddy.
Friend zone.
Right.
Then we got to my parents' house and we were in the driveway. And I don't really remember the part where he told me he had feelings for me. Like that kind of is a blur.
Yeah, she blacked out.
Was it that traumatic?
I think it was the part that came after, which is when my nerves came into play. So I think that's the part that I remember the most was when you were more curious about why I didn't reciprocate the feelings. And I remember you kept asking. Go ahead.
I just think it's so very TJ that it's like, okay, if the answer is no, at least let me grow from this experience.
Yeah, I was just trying to get information.
I get it.
Where can I improve? Obviously,
feedback, please.
Yeah, I've been stumbling in this area. Like, what is it about me that you don't like?
Like he constantly wants feedback of how he can be better, and it's a really incredible trait. But like he even does that in romance, I guess.
Yes, well, I remember he specifically said, "What is my flaw?" Like, what's my flaw? And
She didn't have a couple extra hours to go through all of them.
Buddy, you don't have flaws.
I felt so bad, and I didn't want to hurt his feelings, and there was nothing I could pinpoint. Like, it wasn't like, if you had better table manners or something. Like,
It was the way my head looked. That was the
Stop
was
it.
the issue. Yeah.
You asked what's your flaw, and she adjusted the rearview mirror. Take a look.
Was it the kind of thing like you had just never seen TJ like that? Like he was always a friend and you just never thought of him as like a romantic partner or a boyfriend or someone that like you didn't even know that you were on a date with him.
Right. And I feel like he also always was asking me for girl advice too. So I just never really connected the dots.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out, well, what is it that she likes? And then I can do that. And then this could just be easy for everyone.
He was such a nice guy. And like, what makes one person, attractive and another person not to someone? Like it
When they're hot. When they're hot or if they're not.
There's nothing quantifiable. It's just like a a feeling you get or whatever it is.
I have a feeling it's just kind of a nauseating one a little bit.
And I think that if I had the life experience that I have now, I probably would have been able to say, some people are just not meant for each other in that way, and that's okay, and it doesn't make you less than or greater than or whatever it is.
Right.
I don't know if that would have made a difference if she said that to me when she was rejecting me. I think I needed mentorship. I needed someone who would walk the path beforehand, who could sit me down and be like, dude, I know you're all upset and you're a big baby. Wah, got rejected by a girl. But here's the reality of life. And here's what you've got to work on. And then he'd point his big mentor finger at me and say, you got to work on you first. Because had I worked on me before professing my love to this girl, it would have been a whole different ballgame.
Yeah.
She would have received it differently, I think. I mean, I may not have worked out, but at least I would have been in a better place to take the rejection.
Or maybe you working on yourself, you would have realized that you no longer had those feelings for her.
Yes, exactly, J-Bo.
And I think it's taken me into my 30s to really kind of figure that one out.
Yeah, well, I appreciated her sharing that. And she's a great sport. To be willing to get interviewed by me and my wife, Jess.
Yeah, your wife, Jess. I'm willing to do that. That's something.
Oh, yeah, Jess had a great time hearing that story.
I'm sure she did.
From her. So there it is. You know what? Whatever you're going through, whatever kind of rejection you're dealing with, here's someone on the other side of that saying, thank goodness I was rejected.
Rejection is redirection.
Love that. What's happening in your world today, J-Bo?
I recently got a massage, and it was very interesting. I actually enjoy having massages, and so the first thing the masseuse tells me is, as soon as I'm laying down on the massage table, he tells me, you look better with your glasses off. And I said, huh? Giving him a chance to kind of correct himself. And he goes, you look better with your glasses off. And I'm thinking to myself, this is not the way I want to start a massage. This really isn't the way I want to start a massage. And he continued to tell me about his entire life and the mother of his children.
Oh, wow.
And at one point, once we got done with everything and, I walked out and he did a good job aside from everything else. I just gave him some really healthy feedback. I said, hey, you're really good at what you do. I want to give you some feedback directly, not to your boss, to you. 2 things. Use a little bit less oil because I felt like the bottom of the Chinese food carton after you get done eating it.
Okay.
And the second thing is just talk a little less. And he was like, oh, yeah, no, I appreciate that. I was like, yup. And I just give him a tip and I walked out.
Well, that's nice that you didn't do it in Google reviews.
Right.
It's nice that you didn't go to the boss.
Right.
If you're going to give feedback, I think that's a very honorable way to do it.
Yeah, I think I may go back and give him a second chance and see how it goes. So we'll see.
And J-Bo, I think you look good with and without your glasses.
I told him the same thing. I said, I look good, brother. I said, I look sophisticated with my glasses on and I look good with them off.
I agree with you. I never feel like you're better one way or the other. You just rock them both well.
I appreciate that.
See, if I was giving you a massage, which is not going to happen, but if I was, that's what I would say.
And then I made sure to throw in the fact that I was married because I was like, I don't know if you're hitting on me or what, but my husband's in the military and...
Yeah. I've never had to tell someone I'm married. It's never come up. No one's been... Anyway, different story. Yes, Kenny?
J-Bo, didn't you, when you scheduled this, request a silent massage?
I did. And he did tell me when he walked in, he's like, man, I've been so busy. I haven't had a chance to look at your paperwork. And I thought to myself, he's going to be a talker. It's going to be one of those days.
Wait, you wrote that you want a silent massage? Oh,
they
no.
send you an info form when you sign up for a massage. And I wrote, I would like a silent massage.
Funny. Well, I'm sorry, J-Bo.
It's all good.
Ever notice that how you feel affects your food choices and that what you eat affects how you feel throughout the day? Well, researchers noticed it too, and now there's cutting-edge science about how food affects our emotional well-being. I'm food and science journalist Mary Beth Albright, and in my weekly podcast, Eat, You'll Feel Better, I look at practical, realistic ways to put the science of eating for emotional well-being into action. And, this is important, without lapsing into negative diet culture messages that can really ruin anyone's emotional well-being. We talk about things like how the food in your gut sends messages directly to your brain. And we also celebrate something that I personally find often missing from food health news, and that's leaning into pleasure. Because food is delicious, and it's not just about what we eat. Emotional well-being is also about how we eat. So join me every week on Eat You'll Feel Better, where we use science to improve mood through food.
Hi, everybody. This is Adriana Trajani. I'm the host of You Are What You Read, a podcast about the books that built our souls. I have the privilege of interviewing luminaries of our times about the books that shaped them from childhood until now. Don't miss it. We get everybody from Sarah Jessica Parker to Kristen Hanna to Jhumpa Lahiri, Susie Essman, Rainn Wilson, Amor Tolls, you name it, they come, they talk, they share. You can join us on Instagram for more behind-the-scenes content and giveaways at You Are What You Read Podcast and at Adriana Trajani. New episodes of You Are What You Read drop every Tuesday on Apple, Spotify, or any major streaming platform wherever you listen to your podcasts.
This is the TJ Show. I want to go back to something Jabo just brought up on the radio a few moments ago. She was sharing that she got a massage yesterday, and this guy who was massaging you was just talking the whole time.
Oh, he was.
And say again, what was the first thing he said to you when you got on the table?
I was lying on my back, face up, and he goes, "Oh, you look better with your glasses off." And I said, "Huh," giving him a second chance to not say it again.
Right.
And he repeated himself, "You look better with your glasses off." And I said, "Well, I like them on and off. I think I look sophisticated with them on." And he's like, "Oh, yeah, no." So then he started backpedal.
As soon as we turned the microphones off a few moments ago, it hit me. I asked, were you wearing your wedding ring when you were on the table?
And no, because I take all my jewelry off and everything, so.
Yeah, and Jabo's fine. I think he was interested in you.
Yeah.
No, I really do. I think what he was doing, and this is something that drives me nuts. Guys do this kind of stuff all the time. They say something negative to somebody they're interested in an effort to cut them down. They hope that you're going to be like, "Oh, I want this guy to like me," so you try a little harder.
Which is
it's
so
a
sad.
mind game.
Yeah.
And then you told me you did let him know that
Oh yeah,
you
I
are
told
taken.
him. I was later on. He started to talk about astrology. Asked me what my sign was,
Ugh.
and I told him I was a Scorpio, and he giggled. And I asked him what's so funny, and he goes, "Oh, I had so many Scorpios today." And I was trying to hint. I said, "Yeah, we're all looking to come here and relax." And then he goes, "Well, thankfully you're not a Leo." And I go, "Yeah, well, my husband's a Leo, and he's pretty great, and he's in the military." And then that's when he
Stopped.
He stopped, and he's like, "Well, my girlfriend's a Scorpio."
Oh, all of a
and
sudden,
I'm like,
yeah.
"Oh, now you got a girl, right?"
Wow.
And prior to that, when I had mentioned that I had been to Puerto Rico because he asked me where I was from, where I've been, he's like, "I'm trying to take a little Latina woman home with me," and I was like,
What?
And that's when I knew, like, "Oh, you're picking up on me." First it was the put down, now you're
Yeah.
trying to pick up on me, and so I had to let him know that I was married.
I think about, like, when I was dating, I never did that where I was cutting women down, and I would go out and I'd take them to fancy restaurants and I'd try and, like, take them out for a night in the town. And I always thought that was going to be the thing that would get them to like me. And I struggled so much. And I read this book that recommended you do that, where you cut someone down.
That's
and
horrible.
it felt so against the grain of who I was, but I was
Yeah.
like, well, if this is what works, and I wasn't confident at all.
Right.
But I was going out with this girl, and I was like, well, let me try this. Let me see if it works. And what my thing was, we went out to dinner, and we were eating guacamole, and I told her she had a boogie in her nose.
Oh, gosh.
And then it, like, made her all self-conscious. And guess what? Didn't work out.
Wow.
So what I was trying, it wasn't working. And then I started dating my wife, Jess, and I was trying those techniques, and it made her cry. And she was like, "Don't, what are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm sorry." And then I just eventually...
She stood up for herself.
Yeah, I eventually realized, like, everything was wrong with me. I had to build up my own confidence. And then once that happened, oh, what a surprise. My wife liked hanging out with me.
Yep. Well, it's frustrating because that person starts to look at the things that now they think is bad about them because somebody else pointed out. And now it's like they're chasing this, like, I want you to like me. So they become this clingy kind of codependent on the person who's putting them down. It's a whole mental game.
It's a mess.
It's not right. It's the same concept the military uses when someone first comes into the military and you go through boot camp and they kind of break you down a bit and they kind of take your identity and then they build you back up the way they want you to be.
Yeah, it's
And
twisted.
for that to be done in relationships is very twisted.
It's really, as a woman, you start seeing that that stuff, run.
Yeah, and
See you later.
honestly, you have to be confident with yourself and who you are and who God created you to be, because somebody else can come and tell you that you're something that you're not, and you start to believe that, and then your whole identity is based on what they're saying about you.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great reminder, and thank you for bringing that up, because it just struck me like, oh yeah, there's something really bizarre. I mean, he's doing that thing, and it ain't gonna work on J-Bo for a lot of reasons.
No, not at all. My husband builds me up, so if somebody's cutting you down, run, girl, run.
Yeah,
and run, guy too. Some girls do it too.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh yeah.
I don't know how else to put this other than it's just flat out fun. What a great idea. The Seattle Mariners, gotta hand it to them. They started this campaign, it's like a promotional campaign called Hot Dogs from Heaven. And during the game, all these hot dogs are sent down from the top of the stadium in little parachutes that hold the hot dogs, and people are like catching them out of the air.
That's kind of cute.
And then, right, isn't that so fun?
Yeah.
And they just start eating them. The last time they did it, they threw 75 hot dogs out into the air. First of all, just flat out funny that hot dogs are floating through the sky. I mean, can you imagine
when
walking?
dogs can fly are now flying.
I go to a lot of sporting events and they do the t-shirt toss, and I'm always confused why people get so excited for a crummy t-shirt. This is something I would get excited for. I'm throwing bows trying to get a free hot dog from the sky.
Yeah, seriously. And I didn't realize this, but it's not the first time something like this has been done. Apparently, the Phillies mascot fired hot dogs into the crowd from his hot dog launcher. Now, that has to be more messy than the parachute, right?
Wow, that's great.
Well, also, like, doesn't that come apart? Or I guess they've thought about that. They've encapsulated it maybe in a little tube or something.
Yeah, I hope so.
What a great idea. Apparently, the Mariners' vice president of fan experiences came up with the idea. It was inspired by fireworks shows. And, you know, sometimes at fireworks shows, I don't know how they do this, but you'll see a parachuting, like, little army figure come out of the sky, and then you can grab it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what gave them the idea. The dogs are thrown from the roof of the stadium to the crowd below by Mariners staff. The team plans to do the promotion 15 to 20 more times this season. How dreamy is that?
Man.
I would even eat a hot dog. I almost never eat hot dogs. I think I would eat a hot dog.
I mean,
a ballpark
it's coming from
Frank.
heaven. Of course you got to eat it.
That's amazing. Lots of volunteers, no shortage at the stadium. Everyone in the front office wants to go and throw the hot dogs now. So it's really catching on.
Fun.
And they plan to do it a bunch more times at the stadium, which is very exciting. So Kenny now comes up with an idea. He's saying he wants to do this here and he wants to film it. What are you talking about? What are you saying? Where do we throw a hot dog from?
Well, it could be a hot dog, it could be anything, but we're in a pretty tall building. And, you know, if they were to give us permission, I think it would be fun to throw things. I found these parachutes on Amazon that kids use for like egg drop experiments. I want to see what'll float down to the earth.
Ooh, can we drop some nachos and cheese? I'll be on the floor trying to capture that.
Yeah, I wonder, like with the wind though, would it drop? Because there's a park near our building. I could see us throwing it off the roof of the building and then running to catch it. Maybe we could do like a competition or something where it's J-Bo and me versus Kenny and maybe producer Heather. Josh, do you have any way to film that? Like, do you think you can capture that?
Oh, yeah, we'll break the drone out for sure.
Ooh, what a great idea.
Oh, drone, that'd be cool.
Wait, so could you start the drone at the top of the building and then follow the hot dog down to us catching it? You think you can do that?
I'm going to try.
Yeah, this guy's like, he's got a pilot's license, right? To be able to fly that drone?
Yeah,
because Josh worked a bunch of weddings years ago, and you would, put the drone all the way up in the sky so they can get that big shot? Yeah. This would be amazing, actually.
Instead of hot dogs, can it be pie?
The risk is, though, if you drop a pie off the building and then it hits someone walking by. And I also have to get
That would
permission.
be funny.
No, that would be terrible. No, I mean, the velocity there would knock him out, right?
Well, the Mariners, from what I understand, did a whole bunch of tests regarding wind. You know, they didn't want the hot dogs to get stuck in the protective netting that goes around the field. They also entered in the weight of the hot dog, the package, the condiments into a model rocket website to determine exactly how big the parachute needed to be.
I'm going to reach out to our building people. I'm going to see if we can get approval for this. That would be great. Or we just do it and we break the rules. I just don't know how to get onto the roof.
Ask for forgiveness.
No, all right, we'll figure it out.
Not permission.
I like where this is going. This is the TJ Show. J-Bo, how much late night television do you consume?
Not as much as I used to.
You ever watch it on TV or is it always YouTube clips?
It's usually YouTube clips.
Yeah. I saw that Jimmy Fallon is celebrating 10 years as the Tonight Show host. Kenny, I know you love Fallon.
I love Fallon too.
He's so talented, and I do enjoy his show, and it's a different kind of late night show than what I remember growing up. He adds a lot more color to the situation.
Well, he's so talented and like uses all of his talents. He's got a great voice, even as a singer. He plays instruments, he dances, he's funny, and I'm a fan too. But I'm also just so fascinated by the way late night has progressed over the years. And obviously you've got Colbert in the mix, Kimmel, and then everyone is kind of a late night show host now because everyone's got a YouTube channel.
Right.
And it's got to be a weird time to be in it, but I'm happy for him that he's celebrating 10 years. One of the things that, I don't know, you may or may not know this, but there's a book that covered this whole story. About 10 to 15 years ago, there was a really big mess in late night where Jay Leno was the host of The Tonight Show for many decades, and he did a really great job as the host. I mean, he was like the number one guy for years and years, and
everybody loved him.
He was warring with Letterman all those years, and some people think the way he got the gig was out of line. Like he was, I think, accused of hiding in a closet or listening into a conference call he shouldn't have listened into.
Being shady.
And it gave him an edge over Letterman when it seemed like Letterman was going to get that gig.
Of course, Johnny Carson was the host of The Tonight Show, and he was retiring.
And so then it comes a time where NBC decides they're going to retire Jay Leno for him. He wasn't ready to leave. And they brought in who they thought was going to be the successor in Conan O'Brien.
Yeah.
And so Conan comes in, and in less than a year, they bail out on this project, and they don't believe in Conan and don't believe in his vision.
Ooh,
They bring Jay back, and it was like this wild mess in one of the most watched shows, and like ratings were involved and things were going up and down. But what's so interesting is now looking at that scenario 10 years later, it's crazy to me that, like, look at how great Conan is doing. Look at how great Jay Leno is doing. He's onto these passion projects. Look at how great Jimmy Fallon is doing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And what is the common thread through all of these performers? They all mastered their craft. They all just kept working at being great as comedians and show hosts, and there was a place for them. And so even though Conan talks about, like, oh, his big dream was hosting The Tonight Show, I'm curious, I'm sure Conan's talked about this, but I'm sure he loves where he's at right now. He's doing incredible work. He's out there in today's era in maybe a way where he's reaching more people than he would on The Tonight Show.
Yeah, and there's something to be said for somebody or a group of people who can pivot even when a door closes and they weren't ready for that door to close, because other doors will open as long as you're willing to pivot in that direction.
Yeah, his talent and his mastery of his craft carried him into a full-time job and makes a lot of money, does very well. Maybe I do think he might even be doing better than he would be on The Tonight Show. And I think this is an interesting parallel to all lines of work. People fight for these positions that they think is supposed to be their dream job. But if people are just focused on their craft and mastering their craft, there will be a place for those people. How rare is it to find people like Conan, Jay? It's not because they got lucky. It's because they're so good at what they do.
Yeah.
So it was just a reminder of all that when I saw Jimmy celebrating 10 years. It seems like it worked out for everyone involved.
Yeah, I stayed up last night and watched a big chunk of this special that they put on to celebrate 10 years. It was pretty much a best of special of the last 10 years on the Jimmy Fallon Show. I expected something different, but it was nice to relive all those memories from the past 10 years. It's been a great show.
Sure, it was great. It was a lot of the best moments. Congrats to Jimmy Fallon.
I'm Erica, 1/3 of the podcast Books and Betches, a comedy book podcast where we swear, spoil, and we talk about...
Whoa, you cannot say that in this.
What do you mean? That's like our slogan. It's our gimmick.
It is, but just say we're a very funny adult book podcast. How about we just give some examples of things we talk about? Well, there's a lot of chaos.
I'm Kristen, and with me I have...
No. We talk about books, but we're not your AP Lit class.
I definitely hit on the major points.
You absolutely did not.
She did.
You talked
just
about...
not in the order you thought she would.
You talked so slowly about one thing.
A lot of sidebar conversations.
Are you denying the existence of chupacabras?
You know what, Erica? Yes, I am. And we don't always get the facts right. Epilogues don't belong in books. Dude, call it chapter 1.
That's a
the
prologue.
The second I see...
That's a prologue.
Oh.
I'm talking about prologues.
You can listen to new episodes of the Books and Betches podcast every Tuesday morning, anywhere you get your podcasts.
Bye-bye.
This is The TJ Show, our news. It sounds different around here. Kenny reads through every story he can find, and then he brings us the most interesting ones. Kenny, what's happening on the planet today?
Tom Brady was recently interviewed and admitted that he regrets doing the roast that aired on Netflix.
Yeah. I saw a headline about this, and it looks like it's because people were attacking his kids.
Well, they didn't directly attack his kids, but they attacked their mother and the divorce
And that
all
affects
of that,
his kids.
which does affect his kids.
Yeah.
I wonder if Tom assumes they would stay away from that, and that's why he walks in. Because you would think there are some things, even as your filthiest comic, but I guess there are no boundaries in these roasts, right?
Well, yeah, I saw that headline too, and the first thing I thought was, who let these kids watch this? Like, I
That's true,
personally
yeah.
wouldn't have let my kids watch any roast, period.
Yeah.
And maybe they wanted to because it was their dad and they're probably intrigued by it, but I don't know.
They're also of the age where they're probably fascinated by comedy and they're consuming all the entertainment that's out
What are
there.
they, like 9 and 12?
I don't know.
I think
they're pretty young.
They are pretty young, but it doesn't matter. Maybe they didn't watch it, but they go to school, and the kids in school are like, "Oh, did you hear what they said about your mama on Netflix the other day?"
Don't talk about my mama.
That kind of thing could happen. From what I understand, the comedians all had an edict that they were not going to make any jokes at the expense of Tom Brady's kids. But as I mentioned, the jokes about their mother, the divorce, all of those things didn't have a good effect on them. According to reports, Giselle was upset after the roast, and we're hearing that Tom Brady did reach out to apologize to her personally.
Oh, wow. Well, you know what this does now? It just drums up more interest and more people are going to watch it.
Well, a lot of people did watch it, TJ. So we do have the full-on ratings from the Netflix account views May 6th through May 12th, reporting 42.2 million viewing hours and 13.8 million account views.
Well, I'm not going to watch it, okay? I'm going to do my part.
Those views aren't mine.
I also don't have Netflix, so I can't watch it. Used to have my brother's account, and then that whole thing ended.
It had 6.2 million viewing hours and 2 million views on its premiere day, Sunday, May 5th. So it did pretty well.
Well, look at that. Kenny, well, I'm glad the comics at least listened to the thing about the kids. They didn't joke about the kids, right?
No, they didn't make any
Good.
jokes directly at the expense of the kids.
What else do you have, Kenny?
TJ, I've heard you say that you like to eat breakfast and then brush your teeth in the morning. Is that true?
Ideally, yes, that's best case scenario. Because then I'm eating my breakfast with a taste of mint. And I don't always want mint and chemicals.
Jabo, how do you do it?
I brush my teeth first, then I eat breakfast.
That's how I do it too. Well, a dentist is weighing in on this. This is a debate on the internet whether or not to brush your teeth before or after breakfast. According to Anna Peterson, a dentist in the UK, she says you want to brush your teeth first thing in the morning before breakfast.
Yeah, she's got to be wrong about that.
She says
she's a dentist.
Doesn't make any sense.
She said there are two reasons for this. When you eat, your mouth becomes acidic. Digestion begins when the food is in your mouth. So when you brush your teeth after you eat, you're brushing the acid into the tooth, and it can wear down enamel. And she said brushing before breakfast actually protects your teeth from anything you're going to eat.
Look at that.
But many on social media had your opinion, saying, I don't want to have a minty breakfast.
Well, now that makes sense, now that you explained it.
Just because you don't like it doesn't mean it's not true.
Yeah, with the first swallow, the mint's going to be gone.
I don't even taste the mint. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, listen, and who doesn't like mint, now that we're talking about it? I love mint. I drink mint tea. Why do I have a problem with the toothpaste?
I'm glad you were able to talk that out, TJ.
Thank you, Kenny, for making me realize I've been wrong all along.
You're welcome.
Kenny, what else do you have?
We've been seeing a lot of stories about the struggles of the restaurant brand Red Lobster lately. You may remember recently there was a story about how their endless shrimp promotion wound up costing them millions of dollars.
I thought that was nice they did that for the shrimp community, the shrimp eating
So
community.
did everybody else.
Yeah.
That's why it cost them so much money.
Hey, listen, they're popular.
Yeah.
And people love that.
Well, I saw one story recently that said they were shutting down about 40 to 50 locations, and then I'm seeing now that's up to 99 locations that will be closing, about 15% of their restaurants, all in an attempt to stave off bankruptcy.
Oh, crustaceans are rejoicing and singing Under the Sea, and
Under the
consumers are just bummed because it's a great restaurant.
And interesting about this, they've brought in TagX Brands, which is an auction company that specializes in restaurant and food auctions. You can go online and bid for the contents of an entire Red Lobster store, one of them that they're shutting down.
Ooh, you want to start a restaurant, J-Bo?
Man, that would be something to get into if you want to start like your own kitchen or your own restaurant. You want to update some appliances and you just want to pay full price. Get in on that.
Love auctions.
Let's go.
Yeah, so they're also looking for a new owner to take over the company. They've been doing that for a lot of months, but experts are saying that bankruptcy may be inevitable.
That's a bummer.
Oh, that breaks my heart.
Well, I could see J-Boat coming in as the new CEO, J-Boat, and we're going out to the sea. We're going to get the best lobsters you've ever seen.
I'm going to serve you a boat of shrimp.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
and it's going to cost you a boatload of money because ain't no deals.
Yeah, we'll explore that before they decide they're going to shut down. There might be hope. We want to keep them open. Hey, what's happening other than that, Kenny?
Have you guys ever driven an electric vehicle?
I haven't, actually.
No, I've been in one, but I've never driven one.
Yeah, I have too.
Have you experienced motion sickness while in the electric vehicle?
No.
No, not that I remember.
Well, apparently this is a thing. More and more people are reporting motion sickness after either driving or being driven in an electric vehicle. And it turns out it's legitimate according to experts and doctors.
Experts at the gas stations.
Stop it.
No, they talked to an ear, nose, and throat doctor.
Oh.
And it has to do with the electric vehicle's ability for one-pedal driving. So drivers can slow down their vehicle simply by lifting their foot off the throttle. And essentially, the throttle is so powerful that it creates this kind of like herky-jerky motion. And because of the lack of sound in an electric vehicle, it kind of throws people off, their equilibrium off. It kind of creates this seesaw motion. At least for some who suffer with motion sickness, if you're in a gas-powered car, you hear the throttle when the gas pedal is pressed down. You don't hear that. You just get that sudden acceleration.
Got you.
And again, the seesaw motion. So it's a common thing, and electric vehicle makers are trying to figure it out.
The only feeling of nausea that I've had in electric vehicles, I have a friend who drives it and the battery's down to like 8%.
Oh, no.
And he goes,
Stressed.
Oh, no, we're fine.
Automatically, I'm stressed out
I go,
just hearing
yeah,
this.
what do you mean you're fine? Well, it'll last.
No.
But you got to charge it. Nah, we're good.
No, I have seen videos on TikTok and Insta of some people who have dealt with a lot of new medical issues since driving EV. I don't know all the details, but you should probably look into that if you've been experiencing some things like that and you happen to be in one or own an EV.
Weird. I got to check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, according to auto experts, most automakers have tuned the throttles to be jumpy in electric vehicles because they want to emphasize the power that they have. But the side effect is that they can lurch and make some occupants sick. You have to be careful on how to apply the throttle, and it's kind of a learning curve. You have to modulate it and learn how to do that.
Kenny, what else you have?
There's a man in England who legally changed his name because he said he always wanted to see his name in lights.
What's the name?
Given name was Dino Wilson. Nice name. But he changed his name to Fire Exit.
Someone is very self-absorbed.
I get it.
Yep. He says, people will always know who I am. My name's the only name that is still in lights even when the power is out.
Wow.
Yeah, and apparently he is getting a lot of attention from this. There are strangers that are approaching him on the street with their own fire exit signs to have him sign the fire exit sign. There is one person who's not a fan of this, his girlfriend.
Oh, yeah.
She is sick of fire exits every time she walks past one because apparently she says their house has more fire exit signs in it now than it does plastic bags.
Wow. Well, I hope they're placed in the right locations.
Right, seriously.
Last thing you need is to follow a decoration that's in the living room and you're trying to run through the wall.
Yeah, he said he did it for the laugh, but he's sticking to it. His family thought it was a great idea, so he just went for it.
It's a cool name. I've never met anyone named Fire.
And last name Exit.
What else do you have?
TMZ is telling the story of Zayn Malik, formerly of One Direction fame, and his dating struggles. Apparently, he recently moved to a farm in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, and joined Tinder in an effort to find love. But he ended up deleting the app because the locals didn't believe it was really him.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, he said, everyone accused me of catfishing. They're like, what are you using Zayn Malik's pictures for? And he's actually been kicked off the platform
Hilarious.
because people reported him. So Tinder kicked him off the platform multiple times. And now he's saying he's given up on dating apps altogether. He's not even trying to meet anyone because he says for the first time in his life, he's super happy just being single.
Well, good for him then. Be single.
What's behind that? I mean, could he possibly have a hard time meeting someone? And did he really think that would work?
What, Tinder?
Yeah, it's not going to work. Of course that's going to happen.
Because he's a celebrity?
I mean, celebrities have Raya, which they could use, like if you are in the public eye, that kind of connects people in the same thing. But I don't think he's getting much action on Raya in Bucks County, Pennsylvania.
Kenny, thanks for keeping us somewhat informed.
That's what's happening.
find it so clever how people are up to all kinds of things they shouldn't be doing.
Oh, yeah. Are you talking about me? I'm sorry.
No. J-Bo, I think you'll find this interesting. There's a person who is trying to smuggle spiders in Turkey back to the U.S.
Why? Who wants to do that?
Yeah, I was like, what kind of fascination does this person have?
Spiders.
And so I started reading into it a little bit more. Police arrested this guy at the Istanbul airport and seized dozens of bags from his luggage containing about 1,500 scorpions and spiders, tarantulas, as well as a bunch of plastic bottles containing unspecified liquids. You know, if you're in airport security and you see that, you're like, bro, tell me what you're doing. What is this?
I feel like a new movie's coming our way. You've heard of snakes on the plane. Now it's like scorpions and spiders on the plane.
Yeah. I mean, if this guy likes spiders so much, he can come to my house, get in our basement and kill a couple of the spiders. We've got some weird ones down there. So it turns out police are saying the spiders' poisons can be milked out of the spiders.
What?
And they use it for different kinds of medicines worth $10 million per liter.
How do you milk a spider?
Yeah, I don't know.
The legs? Like, how does that work?
I don't know, but I would not want to be that spider.
No.
I mean, that's some alien stuff for them. If a person captures you and starts milking you for this weird poison that you have, some are saying, and there's no source to this, but someone claimed that it's a curator at a historic U.S. museum, and they didn't specify where that came from. The American Museum of Natural History didn't immediately respond to a request for comment, so I guess they're trying to figure out what's going on.
Right.
But how bizarre is that? I had no idea that spiders were that valuable.
I didn't know you can milk them and then it's worth that much money.
Yeah,
Hello? I might have to get into it.
Yeah.
I can learn to like spiders.
J-Bo left radio. Why? Well, I became a spider milker.
Right.
What?
I now milk spiders.
Oh, okay. Well, you do that. You never know. You know, there's so much turnover in radio. There might be a couple spider milkers
seriously.
that come out of this whole thing.
If it's for medicine, it's helping people. I can see that. I get it.
Round up the scorpions. I mean, they're not particularly nice to people. Right? It's convenient of all the things. It's not like puppies have this special thing.
I had a run-in with a scorpion before.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Where?
I went on a mission trip in Guatemala.
Wow.
And I stayed in this they put us up in this like cabin, and it was a decent cabin, you know, and I'm there with some of the ladies that are serving there in Guatemala, and I go to use the bathroom, a very vulnerable place, may I add, and I'm on the porcelain goddess, and I look around, and there's, on the floor right in front of me, a scorpion. And I literally stopped midstream and I just walked out. I washed my hands and walked out. I don't think I even washed my hands. I just walked out. And I told the ladies in that room, there is a scorpion in the bathroom.
Did you hear him click across the floor?
Yeah, I did. He's like,
did he walk slow?
It felt like he was going really fast just because I felt like I was in danger, you know, but he was taking his time. And my friend she went into the bathroom and she took care of the scorpion.
Have you ever gone on YouTube and watched scorpions attack their prey?
No.
It's just so fascinating. They use that weird little tail thing to just bing, stun them.
Huh.
And then they eat them. They just know what to do.
Well, I'm glad that the scorpion didn't see me as prey because that'd be a whole big meal. He'd be there for a long time.
There's a live Fear Factor show at Universal Studios where like guests of the park can participate. My mom signed up to be in a scorpion cage where they put a box around her head, they protect her eyes and her mouth, and then they drop scorpion after scorpion in the box.
Why?
Tell your mom not to do that again. This is the TJ Show.